Opposition Media Rights Agenda sued the federal government over the act for a violation of a number of principles. The Newspaper Proprietors Association's case is currently pending before the Supreme Court, so the issue is yet to be fully resolved before Nigerian courts. But the ECOWAS court has made a clearly definitive statement, which I think is what we really expected, and I would say that it accords with our understanding of the issues.
Now, what does this judgment mean for journalism practice in the country?
Well, really, I think the principle which the judgment is affirming is that the industry, media practitioners, really need to establish regulatory frameworks that respect the rights of all citizens to express themselves freely. Because the essence of the judgment is that the way that the Nigerian Press Council Act is currently written excludes a number of actors within society from expressing themselves through the media. So it's essentially saying that for you to express yourself through the media, you must have some formal qualification, you must have some minimum years of experience, you must be, at least 18 years of age. Whereas the right to freedom of expression is a right that every member of society should be able to exercise and enjoy. And when you impose these kinds of restrictions that say that only a certain group of people who meet certain qualifications can exercise and enjoy that right, you have violated the principle of freedom of expression, which is globally accepted and applied.
Now, there have been a few arguments about journalism practice, saying that the country needs some form of regulation, and that it shouldn't just be for any Tom, Dick and Harry, all in the name of citizen journalism. How do you react to this?
Well, it's true that journalism is a specialized profession, but it's also difficult in today's world to say what journalism is, because generally people express themselves through various media or various mediums. And if you look at both our Constitution and the International Bill of Rights, it grants everyone the right to express themselves through any media of their choice. So if you say, because I haven't acquired some qualification, I'm not able to express myself, for instance, through a newspaper or through a radio or through television, you are depriving me of the right. And when you deprive me of the right, and you are relying on that protection given by that right to practice that profession, you will find that you've put yourself in a very awkward position, because journalists themselves enjoy the right to freedom of expression. That is where the protection that the media has derives from. So to try and exclude certain groups from enjoying and exercising that right is problematic. What generally is the best approach is to allow the industry come together and say, look, we recognize certain members of this community as our members, as people that are professional journalists, and if you say write something that you might describe as a report, ultimately your audience will decide whether you're a credible source of information or not. And people who are looking for credible sources of information would naturally gravitate towards professional media. It's problematic for government to make it criminal for people to express themselves through certain types of media, because at some point they would also begin to exclude professional journalists from exercising their right to freedom of expression. So, for instance, if you're a professional journalist who is too critical of government, and we have the current situation where government dominates the Nigerian Press Council, what is going to happen is that you will not be registered to practice journalism. So even if you meet all the requirements and you are not registered, then you cannot practice because the government does not want you to be critical of government. That is the danger. And very often, because we have not yet reached that point in the case of many of us, we think that it's okay to start excluding people. Then at some point, you write something or you broadcast something that the government is unhappy about, and you find that your registration is revoked. That's a very dangerous path for us to be treading.
Mr. Adeton Ojo, the Executive Director of Media Rights Agenda, telling us, or giving us his thoughts rather, on what the ECOWAS court ordering the Nigerian government with regards to the sections of the Nigerian Press Council Act of 1992 does mean for the practice of journalism in the country. Stay tuned, more conversations coming up.
We are Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos. You're listening to Now Breakfast.
We are intentional about the stories we tell and the language we use in telling them.
Intentional about the people we speak to and why we speak to them.
Because here at Radio Now 95.3 FM, we aren't just telling any story.
We are telling your story.
And your story is all that matters.
Stay tuned to your Beyond the News station daily for our up-to-the-minute compact news bulletins from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., 4 p.m. and 6 p.m., bringing you a wide range of local and international news from our news desk. Stay informed, stay updated on Radio Now 95.3 FM. Be a part of our online community on Facebook. Like our page on www.facebook.com/This is Radio Now to join every conversation on air and get up-to-date news information on the go. Are you tired of sifting through mindless news?
Looking for the right information to make informed decisions?
Whether it's on politics or governance, education or health,
business or sports, or even lifestyle, we've got you covered.
Join me, Nabila Usman,
and me, Stephen Imediegu, as we make sense of the news on Now Breakfast.
Monday to Friday from 5:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. only on Radio Now 95.3 FM, Lagos.
Every second and every minute, something new happens. The news brings.
And angry mobs decided to bomb.
Everyone wants to share it, but not everyone wants to dig deep. Now that's where we come in. We bring you the news and go beyond with in-depth conversations and analysis with stakeholders.
I honestly think that the federal government on its own part has broken.
If voters or more people want to be part of that decision-making process, they need to be part.
This is not a good measure of development anyways. We are not there. We need to counter the narrative of the fact that our vote does not count. If your vote does not count.
We bring you the story within the story, and that's what makes us tick. We are Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos, and we go beyond the news.
Out with the old, in with the new. If I broke, now my business. Listen to new sound,
new music,
fresh artists, and get to meet the newest kids on the block right here on Fridays by 7 to 7:30 p.m. on Bout to Blow. Exclusive to Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos. Bout to Blow. I'm loose, even Peru done it by.
The issues are all around us, but who talks about them? Law enforcement breaking the law, property owners ripping off tenants, political office holders taking the electorate for granted, or is it the plague of recurring bad policies made by the government? These are the issues. Let's talk about these and more at the Round Table. Stay locked on to Radio Now 95.3 FM every weekday as we discuss these hot topics around us on The Roundtable on Now Express. The Roundtable, weekdays, 5:30 p.m.
Connect with us now via our social media channels. Facebook.com/RadioNow953FM.
We're on Twitter too. Connect with us there and get involved.
At Radio Now 953FM. 953FM. Like what we do? Share it on your socials and tell everyone.
Want to see some more of us? Head over and meet us on Instagram
at Radio Now 953FM. Get in touch. We'd love to hear from you.
Technology is constantly evolving and artificial intelligence is powering everything around us.
So for nations to continue to survive in the world where artificial intelligence is now everywhere around us, we must participate in governance structure in terms of how it is managed.
At Radio Now 95.3 FM, we're telling the story of the evolution of technology like nobody else can. Now that's another reason to listen to us.
This is lifestyle. This is music. This is the movies. This is art. These are the stars behind the culture. This is Entertainment Now on Now Breakfast.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you were a boarder or if you did attend boarding school back in your high school days, you probably heard of the myth of the vengeful Madame Koi Koi, or as some would put it, Lady Koi Koi, you know. Now, while some saw it as mythical and purely superstitious, some others claim that it actually was based on real events, the story that is. In any case, there's been a reenactment, or if you like, a creation of said event into motion picture. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting The Origin, Madame Koi Koi. A fantastic work about that one, I tell you, because I've seen it and it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. That much I can say, and if you haven't seen it, well, take my word for it, you better do. It's a 2-part movie, now available on the streaming platform Netflix, and it essentially tells a story, right, of a dark spirit that reawakens after being forgotten for decades to seek vengeance, and of course the community in question would have to then pay the ultimate price. This is the trailer. Take a listen.
There's something really off about this school.
What? This school?
Amanda, this is a very good school. One of the first schools founded by the missionaries.
Don't be too hard on this school. It might not look like much, but it's a really good school. I didn't like it too when I first arrived.
You see? That's exactly what I've been trying to tell her. I keep having the same nightmare.
What kind of nightmare?
I'm all alone in the hostel, and then something comes to attack me.
There have been some unconfirmed rumors that people are being attacked and killed in town, including one of our students.
I'm Inspector Theophilus Achebe, and this is my colleague, Inspector Oscar Akintoye.
Right.
We're here to ask a few questions about the dead body found today.
I can tell you with the utmost certainty that the body found on the outskirts of town is certainly not one of our students.
You can't just believe that there's a wild animal out there killing people randomly. 3 dead bodies, no witnesses.
This is not what I want. If you touch me, I will scream.
If you continue with this talk about the dead coming back to life, no one will believe you. They will think that you have gone mad and you will be dismissed.
Are you getting the chills already? Absolutely phenomenal work about that one. The trailer there of The Origin, Madam Koi Koi, stars a number of, fantastic actors in the industry. Legends, you might want to call them. I'm talking about Mother Superior herself, talking about Iritiola Doyle. Good morning, Iriti. Thank you for joining us. Can you hear me? It's breaking at the other end.
I can.
All right.
I can hear you perfectly. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Morning. Welcome.
Okay,
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Great to be here.
All right. Fantastic stuff. So I'm going to tell you this up front for free. A number of people weren't particularly big fans of Mother Superior in this flick.
Can I tell you a little secret?
Okay, please go on.
I'm not a big fan of Mother Superior. When Jay sent me the script, Jay Franklin, when he sent me the script and I finished reading it, my messaging was, I hate her so much, but I'm going to love playing her. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting stuff. So I want to start with a question on the minds of perhaps a number of people who seen the movie and loved it. Why the decision to tell the story at this time?
Well, I'm not in Jay or Michael's heads. They are the executive producers, but the larger. Let me speak to a larger scale. More and more, we're beginning to look to our own original stories to tell. For so many years, we have an abundance of urban legends and myths and our own stories, and quite frankly, that's the only way to stay fresh and unique. When you remain authentic. So I think more and more Nigerian producers are looking to produce our own indigenous stories, and that is what led to the decision to produce something to produce this particular story. Then again, horror. We haven't seen a lot of horror films.
I was going to say that. It's not particularly what is preponderant in the industry as we know it.
Not at this time, at least. So yes, it was a smart move to do something different, to pivot in a different direction. It made sense. It's something fresh. It's something different. It's authentic. It's one of the oldest urban stories that we do have. Most people who attended a boarding school in Nigeria, have heard something about her or something similar to that. So yeah, I think those might be some of the thoughts that went into the decision to produce this particular film at this time. And I suspect that you're going to be seeing more.
Oh yeah, and I hope that I do see more, because back in the day when we saw the first, I want to believe that was the first creation of the legend of Shango by I think Wale. I can't remember his last name, but he starred in that one, and it was a pretty good watch. That, and then many years down the line. Many years down the line, we've seen a few of those as well, and then now we're seeing another myth from back in our high school days. Everybody, when they hear the sound of the mention of Lady Koi Koi, people go scampering and all of that. We all believed all of those, and now we're seeing it in motion picture. Brilliant stuff. But let me ask you this: what was the most compelling, or if you want to, if I should rephrase that, what were the most compelling factors that were pivotal to you playing and adequately delivering that role of Mother Superior in this flick, the legend, the origin, Mother Koi Koi?
Alright, rule of thumb, I will always go for a character that is memorable. Number one, memorable, multi-layered and complex. You could argue that she had good intentions. Very, very thin line there, because if you give it a deeper look, if you look beyond the surface, you will see that Mother Superior was a narcissist. because it was all about control. She just wanted to, retain control over the school. As far as she was concerned, that was her turf, that was her domain. So the fact that she was complex, I think, and she kind of represents what one of the factors, or one of the main factors as to why we are where we are as a nation. People that like to be maintain political correctness, is that the word? Just keep up appearances. It doesn't matter if people are getting raped and dying, as long as we win the competition and we're perceived as number one. Do you get? But meanwhile, there's something deeply wrong going on, and she's willing to sacrifice that. So she's complex, she's memorable. It was a character that nothing near similar to anything I had played in recent times. So I was primed, I was ready to do something different.
Fantastic.
Yeah, what helped me play her? I went to a boarding school very early on.
That explains it.
I went.
I still have my reservations about boarding school, by the way. But go on.
Yeah, there's a lot of pros and cons. There's some good stuff and there's a lot of bad stuff, especially these days. But anyways, I went to a Catholic boarding school, so I have memories of some of the characters that I interacted with at the time. Can you tell that I'm being very careful with my
exactly exactly.
But anyway, yes, but what really helped me, and I must say this, I haven't had the opportunity to say this. One of the things that, if you think my character was so brilliantly played, that's because I had such great energy to work with, and by that I mean the ensemble, the younger cast, the students. Those children played.
I could tell. They were absolutely brilliant, especially the young lads.
Do you get? All of them.
The one who was hated.
Girl, yes, the young lady who was everybody. So you see, when you, as an actor, when you have such brilliant actors giving you that energy, it's a brilliant dance. There's nothing left for you to do but to also rise and play at that level. So kudos to them. It's really their moment. I could shine because they shine so brightly.
Absolutely.
So I think it's a beautiful pot of stew. If you haven't watched it, please go watch it.
By all means, if
it's
you have.
streaming.
Yes, indeed. And like I said earlier, take my word for it. It's a brilliant watch. I've seen it. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening right now, in your free time today, I mean, it's a weekend already. What better time to see a movie than today? So, do yourself a solid and go see that movie, The Origin, Madam Koi Koi. Now, Iriti, listen, we've known you from way back when, Ripples back in the 90s to Fuji House in the early 2000s, where you played Caro up until this moment. Would you say that this is a different, if you like, flavor of Iriti comparatively?
Oh yeah, it's something to slight correction, David. I wasn't in Ripples. I was in Jaded Options and Riddles.
Right. Yes, I was going to say Riddles rather than
Riddles and Hope.
Yes, Riddles and Hope. Not Ripples. Beg your pardon.
Yeah. When you say something different, are you talking about Mother Superior?
No, I'm talking about the person of Iriti at this point in time as an actor.
Oh, most definitely. I'd say I'm more seasoned as a performer. It's a muscle. It's a muscle, and you know what happens. The more you exercise the muscle, the stronger it gets. I've been privileged to play a wide range of different characters, and for the most part, I've been told that I've played them very well. So for each one, you get better and better, and then yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to believe I'm more mature all round, not just as a performer. Yeah. but as a person in general.
Fantastic stuff. So there's Iritiola Doyle, who played the character of Mother Superior, and then of course there was Deyemi Okolawon, there was Bash Adebule, Chioma Kota, and Chukwuka Jude, as well as the co-producer Michael Ndiomu, who's supposed to also be part of the ensemble in today's conversation. But we've had Iriti join us, and it's been a fantastic conversation. I want to say thank you for joining us in the program this morning, Iriti. Do appreciate you.
Time this morning.
Right. Look forward to talking with you some other time, and also looking forward to some more of your projects on screen.
Same.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Have a good one.
Have a beautiful day.
This has been Entertainment Now here on Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos. It's been quite the ride, watching her back in the day, and particularly the funny character on that household drama, Fuji House. Then, of course, there was Riddles and Hope, which she appeared on, and then, of course, much later in the years, we saw her on Across the Niger and a couple of other movies, and then building up until this moment. As you heard her say, she's matured quite significantly in her time on screen. That's our package today on Entertainment Now here on Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos. Up next is News Extra. Stay close.
This is Now Breakfast.
This is lifestyle. This is music. This is the movies. This is art. These are the stars behind the culture. This is Entertainment Now on Now Breakfast.
Babes, now how much be sanitary pad for your area?
Omo, now play we been dey play before. Everybody wey dey this place wey be human being, na pad dey buy take do period. She go bring her wrapper, cut all her wrapper where she get. They use the do period. This kind of nonsense be this.
Ijoma, see what you are saying to your fellow woman who is in need. Ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn ti pọ̀ jù.
Now so they use clothes now. Abi we no go chop first.
Auntie Ijoma, what did my mommy ever do to you? It's not fair.
Now if a story be this, My Period, My Pride radio drama season 1. Now sanitary pad media campaign power up with support from MacArthur Foundation and Radio Now 95.3 FM every Saturday at 10 a.m.
You're listening to Now Breakfast.
This is Now Breakfast.
The Financial Services Regulation Coordinating Committee, FSRCC, in collaboration with the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, wishes to draw the attention of the public to the activities of illegal financial operators, IFOs, which threaten public trust and the stability of the Nigerian financial system. The general public is hereby advised to refrain from dealing with unlicensed financial operators who deceive individuals with unrealistically high investment returns. Verify the licensing status of such schemes on this website: www.cbn.gov.ng, www.nicom.gov.ng, www.pencom.gov.ng, www.sec.gov.ng. To report any suspicions of illicit financial activities, call 0700 225 5226, 0800 225 5226, or +234 817 665 6273. Announcer, FSRCC.
This is Now Breakfast.
For every news story, there's more.
So we can write the best security architecture plan, but it remains an essay until it becomes manifest on ground.
More detail.
Every time you are doing reform, even when we were doing it 2006, 2007, the question is also that it's not the right time. When will be the right time?
More than just the headline. This is News Extra on Radio Now 95.3 FM.
Today on News Extra, at the center of the Boko Haram insurgency in the northeast, in Borno State specifically, thousands of men who were husbands were detained illegally by the military on suspicion of being Boko Haram members. According to the International Committee for the Red Cross, about 20,000 men were detained during this time. But Nifar Women, a group of women whose husbands were also illegally detained, have come together to defy culture to demand the release of their husbands. At least over 1,000 of these men have been released as a result of their advocacy and activism, but many more are still in custody. A documentary by Human Angle Media, a conflict reporting media titled Nifa, the women who spoke up, tells the story of these women and how they do what they do. Take a listen to a snippet of the documentary.
The insurgency had been around for years, from the days of the corrosive preachings in places like Bama and even Maiduguri, to the days of the uneventful protests, and eventually the uprising that marked the beginning of the war in a practical and official sense. But it was in 2014 and 2015 that the height of the humanitarian crisis was finally seen. These years saw thousands of people fleeing from places they called home to Maiduguri, the state's capital. It was also when Yakura Kumshi, Fatima Bukar and their husbands and families fled their hometowns. It is nearly 10 years now and they are still displaced. Within this time frame, both women lost people they knew and loved. Their husbands were detained for years, and they were forced by their circumstances to join a group of women to found a movement whose potential even they did not know at the time. This is a story of how displaced women in Nigeria's northeast organize, advocate, and demand justice as though their lives depend on it, because it does.
Now today on News Extra, Hawa Shafi Nuhu, the managing editor of Human Angle and producer of this documentary, joins us this morning. Good morning, Hawa. Can you hear me?
Hi, David. Good morning.
Good morning.
I can hear you. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. Nice to have you joining us. Now, can you tell us what the word Nifar means and why it is being used as the title of the documentary?
So the word Nifa is actually an adulterated form of the word Kanansar, which is the Kanuri term for victory. So when the women started to band together in around 2016, they wanted to have a name that would signify that they would achieve success no matter what the challenges were. So they chose and a lot of the women are Kanuri, so they chose the Kanuri term that means victory or success. And over time, the word evolved to Nifa. So the title of the documentary is actually the name of the Association of Women.
Now, this documentary also spoke briefly about some of the challenges that the women are facing, apart from their husbands being locked up. Apart from the media, that's the use of the media, you want to speak to us about other approaches that the women have been using to drive home their message or their requests?
So the Nifa movement existed before the media even started to publicize their struggle. So I think this is a very good question. Thank you. So they would basically just gather around. They would simply try to speak with other women because they also did not want their plans to be publicized so that they would not be shut down. So they would go into IDP camps, they would take the names of people, they would meet in secrecy, and then over time they started to organize peaceful demonstrations. So they would get people who knew how to write and read in the English language to convey some of their demands on a cardboard, and they would hold those cardboards and sometimes go as far as government buildings in order to convey their demands. At some point, they even went as far as coming to Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, to testify before a vice presidential panel about the things that had been done to their men. But of course, when the media came in, it sort of amplified a lot of their struggles and their existence. Before the media's intervention, they were mostly known within their localities, within their communities. But when the media started to amplify their work, it gave them a lot more reach than they had before. So some of the ways that women used to organize, especially in rural areas, involve really just trying to compile names and then eventually organizing peaceful demonstrations to get the attention of relevant stakeholders.
Now, briefly speak to us about the predicament or the plight of these women and their husbands, and what it means for the fight against terrorism and banditry in the region.
So the women and their husbands' circumstances are a byproduct of the Boko Haram insurgency, because the military detained their husbands and their sons because they were executing counter-terrorism attempts. So at the time the women were fleeing from their towns which had fallen to Boko Haram, there were military personnel stationed across the entire road. So because the insurgency was really intense at the time, the military was forced to treat everyone with suspicion. But from several investigations that have been done between then and now, we see that a lot of the suspicion was not entirely based on very concrete premises. So thousands of these men were then detained, and at first the women thought it should be for like a day or two for questioning, and then they would be released after it got understood that they were not in fact terrorists but victims. But a lot of these women would not see their husbands again for about 7 years. Because these are communities where men are the breadwinners, it meant that the women were thrown into an intense lack. Don't forget, this was also at the time when the humanitarian crisis was at its peak. So the women were not only left to fend for themselves economically, they were also left to raise their entire families alone. So children were also growing up without having a father figure, without having someone they could point at and say, this is my father. There were cases, there was one particular exceptional case that was highlighted in the documentary where a boy had been conceived when his father was arrested, but by the time he was born, his father was still in detention. His father was released about 7 years later. And when his father returned home, the boy looked at his father with so much suspicion because he just did not know who he was. These are some of the challenges that the women and their families are facing on personal levels, on familial levels, and even on financial and emotional levels.
All right, very, very, very briefly, what do you think can be done across all levels, subnational and national, to make sure that these women, are given the, if you like, succor that they, desire or that they want, together with their families, because a lot of them do have families. So, what can be done in just a few words?
I think compensation is a great place to start, not just getting the men released, but actually compensating them for the time that they have wrongly spent in prison. And then there are also so many of the men who are still in detention. One thing that would be needed would be for these men to either be tried or released where there are unfounded allegations against them.
Thank you very, very much for joining us today on the program, Hawa Shafi.
Thank you for having me.
Hawa Nuhu is the managing editor of Human Angle and also producer of the documentary titled Nifa, The Women Who Spoke Up. And that's News Extra this morning on Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos. Up next is the News Review. Do join us shortly.
You're listening to Now Breakfast.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.
Technology is constantly evolving, and artificial intelligence is powering everything around us.
So for nations to continue to survive in the world where artificial intelligence is now everywhere around us, we must participate in governance structure in terms of how it is managed.
At Radio Now 95.3 FM, we're telling the story of the evolution of technology like nobody else can. Now that's another reason to listen to us.
Connect with us now via our social media channels. Facebook.com/Radio Now 953FM.
We're on Twitter too. Connect with us there and get involved.
At Radio Now 953FM. 953FM. Like what we do? Share it on your socials and tell everyone.
Want to see some more of us? Head over and meet us on Instagram
at Radio Now 953FM. Get in touch. We'd love to hear from you.
We are intentional. intentional about the stories we tell and the language we use in telling them.
Intentional about the people we speak to and why we speak to them.
Because here at Radio Now 95.3 FM, we aren't just telling any story.
We are telling your story.
And your story is all that matters.
Stay tuned to your Beyond the News station daily for our up-to-the-minute compact news bulletins from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., 4 p.m. and 6 p.m., bringing you a wide range of local and international news from our news desk. Stay informed, stay updated on Radio Now 95.3 FM.
Be a part of our online community on Facebook. Like our page on www.facebook.com/This is Radio Now to join every conversation on air and get up-to-date news information on the go. Let's go beyond the news. Let's talk facts.
First and foremost, the government will never kowtow to the threat of any group to give it conditions.
Let's discuss your opinion.
The politicians in Nigeria don't understand the principle of politics.
The day's biggest news stories.
IPOB has been covered in themselves in glory. There is nothing special about them. It's like a witch cried at night and the child died following morning.
This is the news review on Now Breakfast.
Good morning again and welcome to the news review today on Now Breakfast on Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos. It is the first day of December 2023. Here's wishing you a happy new month and, a happy weekend ahead. Brilliant stuff indeed. Let's get to the stories. My name is David Chiedu, and you can, get your thoughts in by simply logging on, or if you like, by simply dialing the numbers 091 35000 953 0901 111 1953 and on WhatsApp 0809 682 2595. I'm particularly excited because, the weekend is here already, and I've had quite the week, I'll tell you. Planning, preparing, organizing, administering, and all the things that, you can think about as far as, an establishment is concerned. And, we're getting things in order sooner than later, making sure that we continue to serve you. And also, I have to add, it is Radio Now's anniversary today. So congratulations to us here at Radio Now 95.3 FM. December 1 marks our third year. December 1 being today, that is, marks our third year as a corporate establishment and as one of the leading broadcast outfits in not just the city of Lagos, but in the country. Yes, I do say so. We're just 3 years, but indeed we're pulling weight, and it couldn't have been possible without you. Yes, I'm talking about you. You have been absolutely pivotal, absolutely instrumental, and we do appreciate your support. We do not in any way, shape or form take it for granted. We've seen, the good days, we've seen some struggles and all of that, but we're still here, we're still standing like the 3-year-old toddler. We're still toddling around, but essentially we're getting things done the way that it should be done, and that is enough to give oneself a pat on the back, isn't it? Totally, you'd agree with me that it is. So congratulations to us here at Radio Now, and of course congratulations to you for being our backbone, so to speak, for being there the entire time, for holding hands with us through the good and through the bad. Yeah, may the blessings be. Right on, let's get on to the stories this morning on the News Review. We're being joined, by the way, this morning on the News Review by Rashid Bisiriu. He's our analyst this morning. Hello, Rashid. Thank you for joining us. Good morning.
Good morning, it's my pleasure.
All right, we're going to get to the stories very, very shortly, but not before I mention the numbers again. 091 35,000 953, 0901 111 1953. If you perhaps have had a story or two during the course of the week that's caught your attention, now will be a good time to talk about them. But we're going to start with the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper. Economists are talking about how to get 2024 budget right. That is on the front page of the Daily Trust. How to get 2024 budget right. Economists say. There are writers underneath that. Proposal low compared to South Africa, Ghana, others. LCCI says Nigerians not interested in figures, but results. Rawani says senators, reps consider Tinubu's 27.5 trillion naira budget without details. We are going to get into the meat of that one after the headlines very shortly. Stay close. We are Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos, and this is Now Breakfast.
This is Now Breakfast.
The news that matters the most is the news that hits closest to home. If it touches your business, your family, your city, your schools, or your safety, we've got you covered. Everything that affects you is our concern. So, we go beyond, getting all the facts and serving you news and information you can trust.
There was 10 million liters of fuel made available at some point, which was not made available at the time because obviously it had to be brought in.
The attack this Gayo village, Keru, and the Takalafia villages today is one of the many attacks.
Radio Now, 95.3 FM Lagos. Beyond the news.
Across Nigeria, Africa, and the world, this is Radio Now News.
The headline news at 8 here on Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos. In local news, Ashain shown to get staff of office December 14 and 19. Senate begins debate on 2024 budget. AYCF congratulates Abdulaziz on appointment as NEF spokesperson. EFCC arraigns couple for alleged 500 million naira fraud. And in business and economy, First Bank Group appoints Olukorede Adinowo as the new MD CEO of the UK subsidiary. In entertainment, Spotify crowns Taylor Swift most streamed artist of the year 2023. On the foreign scene, COP28 opens with historic launch of Loss and Damage Fund. And to sports, Super Falcons thrash Cape Verde 5-0 in first leg of 2024 WAFCON qualifiers. These are your 8 a.m. headlines here on Now Breakfast on Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos. Many thanks for listening. I am David Chiodu. The news review continues shortly. Good morning.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.
We are intentional about the stories we tell and the language we use in telling them.
Intentional about the people we speak to and why we speak to them.
Because here at Radio Now 95.3 FM, we aren't just telling any story.
We are telling your story.
And your story is all that matters.
You're listening to Now Breakfast.
Let's go beyond the news. Let's talk facts.
First and foremost, the government will never kowtow to the threat of any group to give it conditions.
Let's discuss your opinion.
The politicians in Nigeria don't understand the principle of politics.
The day's biggest news stories.
IPOB have been covered in themselves in glory. There is nothing special about them. It's like a witch cried at night and the child died following morning.
This is the news review on Now Breakfast.
Welcome back to the news review this morning on Now Breakfast. So it's been quite the eventful week in the news, I would say. And one of the highlights of this week's, deliverables as far as the news is concerned is the budget presentation for the year 2024 by Mr. President. Now, the Daily Trust, as I mentioned earlier, reports how to get 2024 budget right. Economist. We're getting into that one. I am David Chiedu, and don't forget we're joined this morning by Rashid Bisiriu. He's our analyst today. So let's get your thoughts very quickly, Rashid. But before we get to that, 091 35000 953 0901 111 1953. Those are the numbers to call, and on WhatsApp 0809 682 2595. Those are the numbers. So back to your thoughts, Rashid. Now, experts yesterday gave their thoughts on the 2024 budget estimates presented to the National Assembly by Mr. President, and the overarching conclusion was that while the budget is ambitious, the implementation could be a wee bit problematic, or if you like, a lot problematic, not just a little bit. It does seem like the government at this point in time needs to put on their caps, thinking hats, if you like, in order to implement the budget. I would like to know what your thoughts are. If the economists are being a bit, suffice it to use the word, skeptic at this point in time, what then, is in store for the rest of us Nigerians who are expecting the budget to, fulfill, if you like, our expectations or meet our expectations in the coming year?
Yeah, thank you. The budget for 2024, as presented by President Bola Tinubu, is seen as the biggest so far, even though one of the economic is not ambitious, at 27.5 trillion is the biggest budget ever presented in Nigeria. Of course, it's higher a little by 21.4% when you compare it with 22.65 trillion naira presented by the past president Muhammad Buhari last year. Of course, you will say you will not envy the president at this time. He must be sitting. This is really it's an understatement to say he's sitting on the hot seat. First, this is his budget, and everybody will be looking up to him how he goes about it. And coming at this time when the economy is nosediving, so to say, he said basically that this budget is the budget that will bring about poverty reduction, to fight insecurity by way of improving, which will lead to improvements in investment environments. It will also bring about human capital development. That is those are the objectives of this budget. But we will wait to see whether this budget will live up to expectations. Of course, I would say that this is just an annual ritual. This budget was similar budget was delivered last year. Was also delivered the previous year. You have analysts coming all over to take a review of it. Just ask yourself, has there been any marked improvements in the life of Nigerians between last year and this year? So that's why I say President Tinubu is sitting on the hot seat as we speak. So let's see, maybe by this time next year, we will be saying, oh, this is the best president Nigeria has ever had, or this is the best budget based on the implementation of the budget. Most of the analysts also want that state that we have seen the paper, like he said, the budget is predicated on $77.96 oil price benchmark. Of course, you know that the thing has not been stable recently. Then Nigeria is also expected to produce 1.78 million barrel per dollars. The oil daily, and of course, you should also know that even that is also not cast in stone. You can't say precisely that this is what Nigeria can produce. Over in the last 1 year, we have seen how oil theft has decimated the production, the oil production. We have also seen vandalism come into play, and the production costs in the oil and gas. These are factors that will determine whether Nigeria will be able to produce 1.78 million
barrels per day.
Yes, and don't forget that OPEC also plays a role in this. You can produce, if you like, you can even produce 3 million barrel. In the OPEC says, oh, you cannot pump more than 1 million. There is nothing you can do about it. As long as you are still a signatory, you are still a member of that group, you can't do it. And our revenue is based on what we are able to do in terms of production of oil. Don't forget that largely our economy is rested based on oil production, even though they say, okay, we can diversify, where so much is coming from other area, but largely the large chunk of our revenue comes from oil. Then we also have one issue, the problem of what do you call it now, debt servicing. Our debt currently stands at 87 trillion naira. We've never had it this bad, and the inflation is 27.6 as we speak. Don't forget again that the analysts have said before the end of this year we might have the inflation rates going as high as 30%. So, and if you have all of that coming into play, I would say it is a very difficult situation. But let's see, maybe as time goes on. One thing you can give to President Tinubu is that he listens to critics. When he sees a constructive criticism, even if he says, oh, this is what I'm going to do in the next 1 month, when the critics come and say, oh, this is not viable, this is not visible, if you are doing this for Nigerians and Nigerians are crying, he can make a 360-degree turn. So these are my views on the budget presentation so far.
For some reason, it's still worrying for economists across the board who, just as you pointed out, talked about our high debt profile and all of that. They're also, expressing the same concern, talking about warning, in fact, the government against, excessive debt repayment, as well as also urging it to invest more in infrastructure, which essentially is quite pivotal, if you like, in the drive for sustainable development in any country's economy. As a matter of fact, what are your thoughts regarding this?
Yes, of course. Like I said, the debt issue is a very.
And by the way, Mr. President, the other day we learned is looking to borrow an extra cumulative of 7+ trillion naira, which would, when it does happen, I don't want to use if, would go up to 90 something, I think 94 or thereabout trillion naira in debt, almost hitting 100.
Exactly. Of course, you are right. He says so, and basically we were wondering what the money is, the new borrowing or the new loans will be, what is meant for, and just like Bamidele, I think the leader of the Senate now, Okoyemi Bamidele, told us during the debate yesterday that the new loans will be used to finance the budget deficit. So they are expecting deficit, and that the new loan. So it means it is difficult for us to now say, oh, don't take this loan, because it is emanating from the budget. And so how do we reconcile this? There is like I said, there is still a big problem here. Except the only way out is that, like I would borrow the expression of the Labour candidate. What's his name now?
Are you talking
Peter
about
Obi,
the presidential candidate?
Presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, who said the only way out of Nigeria is if we begin to leave consumption for production. Now we will need to double our efforts to ensure that our taste for foreign things, right, we tune it down a little and move towards a production. It goes beyond even the private sector. It has to be a deliberate effort by the government to ensure that certain things are put in place to reduce the number of items we import from outside, so that we will be able to look inward. If, for instance, I buy pig milk, I take pig milk, and I do not see the foreign version of it, or it's too expensive for me to buy, I will have no option than to go for the Nigerian produce. So these are things that government needs to do to ensure that we move with, what the good thing about some of our leaders is that even if you are not in power, most of them are genius, they are intelligent people. So you cannot say, oh, because I'm in APC, what the Labour Party said is rubbish, what the PDP man said is rubbish. You take a few things that are genuine and can push you, because at the end of the day is President Tinubu that is at the driver's seat. If in the next 1 year we're able to achieve success, it is immaterial who contributes to that success. We will all be praising the president, and Nigeria will be better for it.
All right, 091 3500 953 0901 111 1953. Those are the numbers to call, and on WhatsApp 0809 682 2595. Somewhere in the midst of all of these, the lawmakers seem to have a problem with the if you like, hurriedness, if that's actually a word, of the presentation of this particular, budget. Do you agree that is it too late in the day, or could it have been done a lot earlier, Rashid?
Okay, yes, I think one of the senators, Senator Binos Yaro, also a PDP senator, we expect the PDP.
Are you still there? Okay, we're going to take a call quickly. Good morning, Gabriel. Thank you for joining us. But Rashid, please hold on a second. We've got a call. Good morning, Gabriel.
Yes, I would like to ask you guys a question, because I seem to be oblivious of the fact of how we will get to come out of this debt burden, this huge debt burden that keeps on growing. Now, this is the question. Sir, do you see anything that maybe we are not seeing, either be it solid minerals or in gas or somewhere else, that we would use to make up the funds, not just make up the funds, bring the budget from deficit to surplus, and rejuvenate Nigeria in such a way that excuse me for using the expression, the renewed hope experience will become a reality. It bugs me right now at the moment. I'm not seeing anything. Maybe your expert eyes can tell us something.
All right. Thank you very much, Gabriel. I see what you did there. Rashid, by all means, you want to respond to Gabriel's concerns?
Yeah. Gabriel has a very good concern, really. It should concern all Nigerians. The debt burden is really an issue for all of us. Like he said, government has a good intention. How long have they been saying it now? That they want to diversify, they want to look at other means of making money. Like he said, look at the mining sector. I'm sure some countries depend wholly on that, so as their main economy stay. So if they annex that area, it's an area that have been left for hoodlums and some people who feed fat on the economy of the nation to explore. So at least we have seen some actions from the new minister now, what's his name, Dele Alake. Let him begin to translate that into reality. One of the things I expect the president to say, and before I even go into that, look at the auto sector. Auto sector is another gold mine. All you need to do is to put your acts together, put your acts in order. You have policy today, the policy will go for another.
Are you still there? Okay, let's quickly take a call. Uche is with us. Bashir, please, Rashid, please hold on. Uche, hi, morning.
Okay. Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for bringing Rashid. He said some very good points.
Mm-hmm.
resonated with me, and I made a call, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, where complained, I expressed my worries about the borrowing. And my problem is not necessarily borrowing per se. And even the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, that Rashid made reference, he has never really picked an issue with borrowing. It is how we spend the borrowed fund that has always been the bone of contention. And I keep saying this, a good dancer is known by their first steps. Within the first 6 months of this administration, we saw funds borrowed to buy SUVs in the office, in an unconstitutional office of the First Lady, SUVs in the President's office, renovation of the President's office after it was renovated before the inauguration, and all kinds of things that do not add up, all kinds of that do not reflect fiscal discipline, things that do not reflect the mood of the nation's economy at this point. So I feel like the problem we might continue to have is the question of how do we spend the money that are being borrowed? What are they borrowed for? What are they being borrowed for? And the problem, another bigger problem really is the National Assembly that we have. We should have a set of people who are able to scrutinize this budget and scrutinize the rationale for borrowing. I mean, when you have an assembly that is singing the presidential song of allegiance or your mandate wishes, but it's thinking like a almost looking like a Kim Jong-un. Yeah, I mean, I was really wondering, is this the Nigerian parliament or is this the North Korean parliament?
Your thoughts were as good as mine.
That is left for Nigerians to decide. But I mean, we have a bunch of people that we should be expected to scrutinize this. Nobody's saying oppose everything that is opposable. No, we are asking for value for money. Let's have accountability. Governance is serious business, my brother. It's not you go into, you're not prepared for it. So let us give the support where support is required. Where we need to ask questions, let's ask the right questions, because the truth is we are thinking deeper and deeper into debt. And the question is, where are we going to get the funds to replenish this? We have an auto industry. Rashid was making mention of that. That is a gold mine. So guess what? The auto industry, I know of Innocent, I know of one in Kaduna, I know of another one in Lagos. We are having auto industries trying their best to spring up regardless of the very harsh climate. And yet, the people who should provide the takeoff for them, we should be the government, are busy purchasing SUVs for all National Assembly members, running into 400 and something units of SUVs from outside the country. My brother, it doesn't make sense. We are killing our manufacturing industries and we are still borrowing from outside and purchasing luxury goods with the same monies we have borrowed at high interest rates. Come on, it's like we are burning our candles on both ends. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't.
All right, thank you very much, Uche. Thank you. You probably have echoed the minds of many Nigerians. Rashid, I'm going to let you go on with your thoughts to respond to Uche's remarks. But before then, I'm going to, give Stephen, who, by the way, is in the studio with me, his first baptism of fire on Now Breakfast. So, ladies and gentlemen, I put it that way because this is indeed his first baptism of fire. In a couple of days, you're going to be hearing his voice on Now Breakfast. And yes, I just want to say that he's been groomed well for the position and he's ready. Are you ready, Stephen?
Yes, ready, let's go.
Hi there, good morning, Stephen. Welcome. So Stephen is my brother from another mother. That I'm telling you in confidence. Don't tell anybody this. But he's here with me and he's going to be doing the show with me for whatever is left of it. But Rashid, let's go on with your thoughts. Respond to Uche's comments, but not before again Ambassador joins us. Good morning, Ambassador.
I'm not your brother for Hannah Modana.
You are my brother, most brother. My brother, most brother.
We are multiplying.
Yes, indeed, Ambassador. Go on. I'm doing all right.
Mr. Rashid, how are you?
I'm all right, Ambassador.
King David, I decided not to comment on radio or call or listen to some analysis anymore.
Why?
So this morning,
Why?
No, I'm coming.
Okay.
Look where Mr. Rashid is coming from now. Fantastic. Even the last caller, Uche, fantastic contribution. But when I hear, Nigeria is gone, Nigeria is this, Nigeria is that. No place our country, no matter what, America will say, God bless America. I think if I have a proposal to make for radio station, if you don't believe in Nigeria, you cannot say God bless Nigeria, don't call. You have to say you believe in the country and God bless Nigeria, then your contribution will be fantastic. You know, to me, Nigeria belongs to everyone of us. If Nigeria go up, everyone will go up. If Nigeria go down, everyone will go down. God forbid, country Nigeria will not go down, we go up. That is why I love analysis that are positive, that our leaders they are told. I love that analysis. So, Mr. Rashid, I will tell it off. But what do we do as a people to hold our leader accountable? Let's add this to their comments. Please make a lot to listen to. Thank you, David.
Thank you very much. Rashid, please go on.
Okay, I can tell you for free that you've had a very great callers this morning, and it makes me feel happy as a Nigerian. Like you said, Nigeria is a great nation, indeed a great nation. If you give this country to Britain that is leading, what's his name now, he will turn these things around in no time. But let's leave that now. We have our own issues, maybe ethnic, religious, and the rest of them. But I'm sure in due course we would overcome some of these things, these challenges, and Nigeria will take its rightful place in the Committee of Nations. So having said that, I like to say that, like I was saying earlier before which they called in, just summarize by saying the mining sector, the auto sector, the agri sector, the ICT and telecom, and maybe the umbrella of it is manufacturing. If they are able to put their hearts together, I am sure they will take this country to El Dorado. All you need to do is, maybe the president needs to summon the head of each of these ministries that control this area and say, give me your roadmap. What do you intend to do in the next 6 months? What do you intend to do in the next 1 year? Let's have your short-term distance. The man will go back to the stakeholders, and in no time they will produce a good result. Then again, which you mentioned, like you said, money shows the day, really. Money shows the day. And I expect President Tinubu to have come, maybe through his presidential spokesperson or whatever, to apologize to the nation. The only thing they did they told us what that presidential yacht was not meant for, maybe it wasn't his, he had no input in it also. So I expected the president to have come up and say, apologize to you, these things that we have done, it was hurriedly packaged and the rest of it, that we are working on it and the rest of them. So those things that they put together under the, what do you call it now, supplementary budget, those are not our priorities. Nigeria should be in a hurry to achieve, like starting from yesterday, if you allow me to use that expression. So if you're talking about SUV for first lady, renovating houses and the rest of them, those are not our first lady. But we should be talking about how to put food on the table of Nigerians, how to better this, improve on this economy fast. So those are my few observations and reactions to the last two callers.
Right. Rashid, I hear you, and then I'm going back to the idea of production versus consumption. Yesterday, the news broke that the federal government is talking with America about financing mining opportunities in Nigeria. And I'm curious if you think this is Nigeria either outsourcing the responsibility of developing what we have or giving up control of what is already underneath our soil.
Yes, that's a good observation. I also saw Dele Alake with the U.S. Leader talk about what they intend to do in the mining sector. Like I said, I have seen the man. It shows that the man really wants to work. Let's him begin to translate that into action. But to answer your question straight, I'm also excited about that new arrangement. Of course, you will see that. You won't see US is a serious nation. Don't forget, I know that they could have some of their areas of weakness and the rest of them. But US to me is a serious nation. For them to show interest in our mining, right, shows that they I've seen good thing in that area, but we must also be very careful so that we don't fall. What is the name of that country now that we had a forceful change of power recently? I think it's Niger or so. I can't remember now. Niger Republic.
Yes.
What is happening? Niger Republic has a thriving mining business, mining sector, but the thing is controlled by outsiders, and you can see the miners, the beneficiaries, that is France and the rest of them, smiling to the banks, enjoying everything, whereas the owners of the resources, the owner of this resource are in terrible poverty.
It's the story across the world. Congo is facing it, and it's sad that we're not talking about Congo enough. Congo is facing it. Basically, every African nation that has some sort of resource underneath the soil has ceded a certain level of control. So I'm curious as to what this conversation about financing mining will mean for Nigeria, especially as I'm fully aware that we have universities in Nigeria where geology is studied. We have those who study mineral resources, and this is not the only mineral resource that we have in Nigeria. So I'm curious if you think that we are going in the right direction by inviting a foreign nation to finance our mining operations.
Well, God bless you. I think that should be Steve's voice.
Yes,
for this. Yes, I like to tell you that it's not a bad thing. For instance, I have this feeling that go and bring anybody from anywhere, or as long as you have good intention. Let people from the north continue to rule. I'm sorry, I don't. This is my opinion. Continue to rule the nation as long as everything goes well. You can go and bring somebody from Benue, for instance. Let the person continue to rule. Bring all his people. As long as it doesn't disturb our progress, everything is moving well. So bringing in foreigners to come and develop our mining sector has no problem. I have no problem with that. It sits well with me as long as we dot the I's and cross the T's. That's what I was saying, that we must make sure that in the agreement nothing is left undone, so that at the end of the day everybody gets the right portion of the stick. Nobody is cheated. And don't forget to also answer your question straight. It should be a holistic thing. The geologists and the rest of them, and the university and the rest of them should be part of it. But leaving it in the hands of our people, you will see people saying, "Oh, where are those people coming from? They are from the west." And I know it is because the president is from the west. Where are they coming from? They are from the north. Oh, Tinubu has been bought over by the northern people. So let's have serious people, serious investors coming. Then at the end of the day, what do we normally have? When you have, to cut in, we usually have a situation where you have foreigners starting a project. At the end of the day, you say, what do you call it now? You move it from foreigners to the hands of the local people. By the time we have perfected the art.
Well, I hear you, and at the same time I'm reminded that the Minister of Aviation, Festus Keyamo, recently said that starting off Nigerian Airways with the current deal that's been signed between Nigeria and Ethiopia would not favor Nigeria, as the current deal, that's the deal that set up Nigerian Airways under the administration of former President Muhammadu Buhari, cedes control, a large part of control, as well as the recruitment and the staffing of Nigerian Airways to Ethiopian Airways. So it sounds to me as though we trust non-Nigerians over Nigerians, and we don't believe that Nigerians are competent enough to get the job done.
It's a wet lease arrangement as opposed to a dry lease arrangement. So in that wet lease arrangement, that's typically the composition of it, where you have is it lessor now having more control of, if you like, the entire gamut or the entirety of the ensemble of said deal, including staffing and whatnot. Go on, Rashid. By the way, before you go on, the lines have been blowing out of control. Apologies, time is short, but of course, keep your calls coming in. 091 35000 953 091 35000 953. Those are the numbers to call. Hello there. Good morning, Jeff. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah. Morning, David, and morning to your analyst.
Good morning. And Stephen is here as well.
Morning, Jeff.
Yeah, morning. So, just like Stephen mentioned about his own worries concerning these arrangements between Nigeria and which country for the mining, you said something about mining here, mining agreement. I'm trying to remember the country, Nigeria, and which country you mentioned?
America.
And America. So, I'll tell you that the truth is there has been deficits that has been going on between the Nigerians and the Nigerian government. If you look at the current, arrangement between Mali and Russia, I think I like that arrangement. I'm sure you are aware of that arrangement. It was so detailed that even everybody is clear and will be able to say that Mali is in control, even from the way they have their tax system that will be coming out from their gold mining. Just like what you said, France today is the 4th country with the highest gold reserve, and they never had any gold mine. Mali has over 860 something gold mine, but when you talk about their reserves, it can't be compared to what France has. So what I'm just saying is that whatever Nigeria is going into, like you said, this country, I don't believe in our leaders. Anything they do is just for their own part. However, if they want us to believe, please, they should follow that part of Mali. Let us give us the. Let's know exactly. That's what we lack. That detail is something we've always lacked in Nigeria. We're talking about 87 trillion. We say this one, we talk about budget. At the end of the day, we are not seeing any effect. They say they will spend 300 billion for proposing 300 billion for road maintenance. I have asked myself every year, what has happened with all the maintenance and all the budgets for roads, and yet almost every part of Lagos is bad. So you have another call on the call. I have a lot to say, but that's where I need to stop.
Thank you very much, Jeff, for even acknowledging the time. Hi there, good morning, welcome. Hello there, good morning. Oh, looks like we lost that one. 091-350-953. Hello there, good morning.
Good morning, David.
Good morning, Emmanuel, yes?
Yes, it is.
Welcome. Quickly.
Thank you. Good morning, Steven.
Good morning.
My dear friend, so you have been doing a baptism of fire today. You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yes, you see, let me not waste much time because time is fast spent, obviously. But we as Nigerians, I think we just need to hold our leaders accountable. As regards this mining issue, we don't know the details so that they have with the U.S. I hope that the Democratic U.S. would also look out for Nigerian citizens as well. These are leaders that are trusting. We have no trust in them. I can tell you that for a fact. Aside from that, this issue of standing on somebody's mandate, it's an issue that we as a country really need to look into because we've been hijacked. That's what it seems like. I hope that we'll be able to do the right thing to come out of where we are right now. But there's so much to say, Dave. There are no time to say it, but I'm sure you get my point.
Yes,
have a wonderful day, Steve.
You too, Emmanuel.
You too,
yeah. All right then. Still the news review. We're running out of time, but let's take a call from Ken. Hello, Ken. Morning. Welcome.
Morning, David and David.
Morning, Ken.
And everybody in the studio. Yeah, just a quick take on. I want to speak about just a little stuff about the Minister of Solomon and all that. If the man is a very serious man, there are some low-hanging stuff there already. At Jakarta Steel Complex, that complex should be revived. That complex should be what you take up with. Why do I say that? When you talk about automobile industry production, it has to do with steel. We got it. The Russians did a very good job in that place. I got a bit of project stuff in that place. They did a good job there. What Nigeria needs to do is to take up that place and be serious with it. Meanwhile, any stuff with America and this thing, I believe that one is just jamboree. What you need to do, first of all, take up that Jakarta. First of all, then secondly, look deeply into what we can do by ourselves here. We've got more minerals there. Meanwhile, let me tell you something. The coal in Nigeria is one of the purest in the world. The impurity is so low. Do your findings, do your research. Around the Jakarta area, you got all the uranium everything around that place. Nigeria should be careful with something with all these hawks and sharks so that they don't thoroughly bury us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ken. And
knowledge, please.
yes, indeed. Thank you. And we're going to round up with Ken's thoughts. Rashid, quickly, let's have your wrap up so that we can pull the curtains down.
All right. Thanks. I just have 2 comments to make. One, when agreements are signed between Nigeria and other nations, we must put Nigeria's interest into consideration. That is first and foremost. When you do that, nobody internally will be able to fault the outcome of whatever happens, and that is what you see with aborted Nigeria Air. Then secondly, I like to say that Nigeria oil is a good resource for funding and whatever. But we must also ask ourselves, anybody who is in charge of oil and in charge of Nigeria, what have we been able to do with our own oil? Look at other oil nations, oil producing nations, see what they are doing, fantastic they are doing. Go to Saudi Arabia, go to Kuwait and the rest of them. What are we must borrow a leaf from this so that in the next 5 years we can say, oh, we are there. Not that, oh, whatever you get from this, it should be entering somebody's pocket. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rashid Bisiri, for joining us today on the program. We do appreciate you very much. Stephen is still very much in the studio. You've just heard a wee bit from him. You're going to be hearing a lot more from him, but later on today and in the coming days, particularly here on Now Breakfast. In case you're wondering where yours truly is going to be, don't worry. Just going to be somewhere here, there, and everywhere, watching everybody, literally. Watching everybody and taking care of everybody at the same time. Stick around. Business Now is up next. Aramide Folorunsho, who looks absolutely ravishing, by the way, is in the studio just by my left adjacent. And I'm wondering whether or not to leave the studio while she does her thing or just stick around somewhere and watch her do her thing, because she looks absolutely gorgeous.
We should start calling you David Chiedu, he who watches.
All right, stick around. Business Now is up next. Good morning.
Every second and every minute, something new happens. The news brings.
People at a spot and angry mob decided to bomb.
Everyone wants to share it, but not everyone wants to dig deep. Now that's where we come in. We bring you the news and go beyond with in-depth conversations and analysis with stakeholders.
I honestly think that the federal government on its own part has
if voters or more people want to be part of that decision-making process, they need to be part.
GDP is not a good measure of development anyways. We are not there. We need to counter the narrative of the fact that our vote does not count. If your vote does not count.
We bring you the story within the story, and that's what makes us tick. We are Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos, and we go beyond the news.
We are Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos.
Connect with us now via our social media channels. Facebook.com/Radio Now 953FM.
We're on Twitter too. Connect with us there and get involved.
At Radio Now 953FM. 953FM. Like what we do? Share it on your socials and tell everyone.
Want to see some more of us? Head over and meet us on Instagram
at Radio Now 953FM. Get in touch. We'd love to hear from you.
From the Central Business District of Lagos, Nigeria's commercial capital, this is 95.3 Business Now.
We have come to the final 30 days of the year. It's Friday, the 1st of December. A warm welcome to the program, everyone. I am Aramide Folorunsho. So let's get started. Some 200 countries meeting in Dubai for the COP28 summit in Dubai on Thursday agreed to make operational a new fund called Loss and Damage, which was designed to compensate countries already dealing with climate change. The new fund that would be based at the World Bank, but managed by an independent secretariat, received commitments worth at least $450 million yesterday, but billions of dollars more are still needed. The Loss and Damage Fund was announced at the end of COP27 held in Egypt last year, but it has taken several separate meetings to get a position where countries agree on a text. Our financial commitments announced on day one of the COP28 summit came from Germany, the United States, the United Kingdom, Japan, and the European Union. The Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries and its allies, known as OPEC Plus, on Thursday agreed to voluntary output cuts of about 2.18 million barrels per day in the first quarter of 2024. This was led by Saudi Arabia and Russia, rolling over their existing voluntary cuts of about 1.3 million barrels per day. Saudi Arabia, Russia, and other members of OPEC Plus who pump more than 40% of the world's oil, however, failed to agree to a group cut at a virtual meeting held yesterday as announced to assess outputs from Nigeria, Angola, and DR Congo. Meanwhile, Brazilian Energy Minister Alejandro Silveira announced at the meeting that South American country will join the influential OPEC Plus from January 2024. So Norwegian oil firm Equinor has announced a major divestment from Chevron's operated Agbami oil field in a move signaling significant offloading of its business interest in Nigeria. Equinor said on Wednesday that it agreed to sell its Nigerian business, including the company's share in the Agbami oil field, to a Nigerian-owned company known as Chapal Energies at an undisclosed price. Fitch Ratings has downgraded to CC from B negative the long-term issuer default rating of a private Nigerian bank, Coronation Merchant Bank Limited. The bank's viability rating was also cut to CC from B negative. Fitch also downgraded the bank's national long-term rating to B positive from triple B. Ecobank Transnational Incorporated says it recorded a 262.2 billion naira pre-tax profit for the 9 months ended September, and that represents a year-on-year growth of 55% from the same period in 2022. ETI's financials shows a gross earnings of 1.21 trillion naira during the period, marking a year-on-year growth of 59%. In its standalone third quarter of July to September, the Ecobank Group posted 111.9 million naira as pre-tax profit, a year-on-year growth of 87%. Well, coming up after the break, the African Development Bank has revised Africa's economic growth downward for 2023 and the new year 2024. Details on this when we return. Stand by, everyone.
This is 95.3 Business Now.
The news that matters the most is the news that hits closest to home. If it touches your business, your family, your city, your schools, or your safety, we've got you covered. Everything that affects you is our concern. So, we go beyond, getting all the facts and serving you news and information you can trust.
There was 10 million liters of fuel made available at some point, which was not made available at the time because obviously it had to be brought in.
The attack this Gayo village, Keru, and the Takalafia village yesterday is one of the many attacks.
Radio Now, 95.3 FM Lagos. Beyond the news.
On air, online, and on your mobile. This is Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos.
Connect with us now via our social media channels. Facebook.com/RadioNow953FM.
We're on Twitter too. Connect with us there and get involved.
At Radio Now 953FM. 953FM. Like what we do? Share it on your socials and tell everyone.
Want to see some more of us? Head over and meet us on Instagram
at Radio Now 953FM. Get in touch. We'd love to hear from you.
This is 95.3 Business Now.
Welcome back to Business Now. The African Development Bank has revised downward Africa's economic growth for 2023 to 3.4% from earlier higher level of 4.0%. The continent's growth for the new year 2024 was also trimmed lower to 3.8% from the earlier level of 4.3%. Kelvin Emmanuel is an economist, a policy analyst, and the CEO at Dairy Hills. He joins me now to put facts behind the latest Africa's growth downwards revision. Good morning to you, sir, and thanks for connecting in.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
All right. Give me the facts behind the growth revision figures by the AFDB group.
Well, I wasn't optimistic. And the president is. He says projected GDP growth rate for 2024 is going to come at 3.76%. I'm not that optimistic. I think from where we stand at 2.54%, the economy is not going to grow more than 1.4% in 2024 financial or budget year. And this is because gross domestic product is a function of several factors. And when you look at those factors, look at the macroeconomic indices on the ground, it doesn't tally. So the revision of AFDB from 4% down to 3.4% is actually in line. I am a little more optimistic than AFDB. I think AFDB says 3.4%. I think the economy is going to go to 3.5% in 2024. But you see, the most important areas for the government to focus on, number one, to see how they can ensure that in 2024, Nigeria stops and puts an end to the importation of petroleum products, because inflation is a function of energy prices and food prices, right? And energy prices has input in food prices.
Hello, Kelvin.
Transportation.
Would you please project a little more? I'm finding it a bit difficult to hear you.
I said energy prices. Inflation is a function of energy prices. And energy prices has an impact or the determinant of food prices, because Nigeria does not have vertical and horizontal railway infrastructure that makes it easy to move cargo. In developed countries, cargoes for goods are moved by rail, mostly by rail. In Nigeria, they're moved mostly by trucks. Now, I'll give you a typical example. You send a container, a 40-foot container from China to Lagos. You pay a couple of thousands in USD. And then it gets to Lagos, you clear the container, you pay a truck 2.8 million, 3 million to move it from Lagos to Kano, to move it from Lagos to Port Harcourt, to move from Lagos to Onitsha. Why would you in 2023 be using a truck to move a 40-foot container from one part of the country to the other? Number one, if you decentralize maritime operations and you ensure that the seaport in Calabar is working very properly, you build another seaport in Akwa Ibom, the Ibaka Deep Seaport project that is proposed. Okay. And the government usually, I want you to give me a little time to explain this thing, because this thing is very fundamental. Okay? It's very fundamental to the problems Nigeria has with inflation, has with exchange rate, has with interest rate, and how it's affecting the entire economy. The government keeps saying that, they can't build a seaport in the north. So you have the entire 19 northern states. Goods are smuggled in from the borders in the north. You have the entire 19 northern states. And customs, by the way, is losing revenue from all the smuggling activities in the north. You have the entire 19 northern states depending on Lagos for port operations. But if you dredge a seaport to Lokoja, you'll be able to serve the north. And the cost of goods will reduce. And you notice that when you look at the MDA statistics, everything that is imported into Nigeria and is trucked to the north is more expensive in the north than it is in the southwest. Why? Because there's ports in the south, in the southwest, and there's no port in the north. And then the produce that are produced freshly in the north is cheaper in the north and more expensive in the southwest. Why? Because you need trucks to still send those goods down to the southwest. So number one, decentralized port operation. Number two, fix electricity. Right? Number three, build horizontal and vertical standard gauge train rail network around Nigeria and concession the operation of the train buses or train cargoes to private companies to manage. That is the way to get this economy growing again.
All right. Given that now over 70% of African economies are driven by commodities exports, like you also mentioned, is 2024 the year that we will witness a significant shift to value additions to exports?
Well, I looked at the budget proposal. It's 48% deficit financing. The debt servicing and financing cost to capital expenditure is 94.8%. The debt servicing marginally rose from 6.5 trillion to 8.2 trillion, which is not an improvement, even if it's because of revaluation losses from foreign exchange. Yes, I cannot see in the budget where the government is planning on structural investment that will fast track or enable the companies to be able to go in and launch secondary and tertiary enterprise manufacturing or export. I cannot see it. Now, companies are leaving Nigeria instead. Equinor is the latest oil and gas company to announce that they're selling off their stake.
Exactly.
And companies are leaving. Sanofi is leaving. JSK is leaving. And you ask yourself the question, what is behind the problem? And you realize that the problem for Equinor, for example, from vandalism and security issues in Niger Delta goes to the foreign exchange market. The problem for Sanofi, supply chain and foreign exchange. Problem for JSK, supply chain and foreign exchange. How is the Minister of Trade and Investment? How is the Minister of Finance? How is the Minister of Petroleum and Gas sitting down to address these fundamental and structural issues that will catalyze private sector investment, institutional private sector investment that can leapfrog Nigeria from being an import-dependent country where it basically exports raw materials and imports finished products to changing that equation on its head. That's what you need. And I'll tell you this, we talk about this every single time. Listen, the solutions to the problems of this country are not alien to the government. The government knows the solution. They have documents, they have reports, they have white papers. The problem has always been the political will to implement and push through the implementation to see that you get it to the finish line. This has always been the issue.
All right, but let's look beyond Nigeria now and look at African economies as a whole. In terms of the macroeconomic outlook, what will you single out as the trends to look out for by African economies in 2024?
Foreign exchange. Foreign exchange is the biggest setback for African economies because a lot of their debt load is going up. You will see what happened to Ghana. Foreign exchange is a major problem for African economies. There's a shortage of foreign exchange. Ethiopia even has the same issue. Ethiopia is having a shortage of foreign exchange, and some companies in Ethiopia are planning to shut down their operations and leave the country. I think one of the major beverage makers is planning to shut down its operation in Ethiopia. So foreign exchange is a threat. Kenya is having issues with foreign exchange to be able to, pay its Eurobond commitment to foreign institutional investors. So foreign exchange, how African leaders tackle foreign exchange shortage and balance of payment, and how they manage ways and means or central bank overdrafts and loans borrowing from the central bank, their central bank, is going to define how the economies play out in 2024.
All right. Thank you for sharing your thoughts, your insights on the latest AFDB report with us. Kelvin Emmanuel, economist, policy analyst, and CEO at Dairy Hills Limited. Do have a great day ahead, sir.
Thanks for having me.
All right, let's quickly walk you through the Thursday's trading day. Equities wrapping up the month of November. The domestic equities market closed higher as the benchmark index gained 0.1 1%. Due to strong gains in telco heavyweights, Airtel Africa 0.56% alongside Jitco 1.43%. Access Score also a 0.56% drove the overall market performance higher to close at 71,365 points. Let's look at foreign exchange. The naira depreciated by 0.10% against the US dollar in the Nigerian autonomous foreign exchange market window, closing at 832 naira 32 kobo against the US dollar. Well, that's your business now for today, Friday the 1st. I am Aramide Faloranshaw. We thank you for listening. It's bye for now.
This is 95.3 Business Now. This is 95.3 Business Now.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.
Hi, I'm Chris. I'm a trader operating a chain of supermarkets. I engage in monthly comfortable contributions with my insurance company. It gave me the opportunity to inject capital into my business during peak periods and reap handsome returns. I never knew that an insurance company can be that helpful. Kudos to Mutual Benefits Assurance for such innovative and business-sustaining insurance products.
Take advantage of the delightful offers and experience the peace that comes with knowing that you can count on Mutual Benefits Assurance to protect you and what you value the most. Call Mutual Benefits Assurance today on 0905 474 4444 to get started and enjoy these and more, or visit www.mutualng.com for more information. Mutual Benefits Assurance, creating and protecting wealth.
We are Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos.
Yes, you are listening to Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos, the station